I died choking on my own vomit in a dingy motel room off I-95, the bottle of cheap whiskey clutched in my fist like a lifeline that had long since snapped. The last thing I saw was my bank app's glaring red balance, negative $27,000, staring back at me from the cracked screen of my phone, a digital noose my parents had tied around my neck. And then, nothing. Blackness. Until the world slammed back into focus with the shrill beep of my 2008 alarm clock, and I bolted upright in my childhood bed, gasping, the faded posters of indie bands peeling from the walls like old skin. It was June 15th, 2015. I'd know that date anywhere. The summer I graduated from NYU with a degree in computer science, dreams of Silicon Valley buzzing in my veins like cheap caffeine. But this wasn't a dream. My hands, smaller, unscarred by the barista burns I'd racked up in the years since, trembled as I fumbled for my phone. No notifications. No debt collectors blowing up the line. Just a text from Mom. Dinner at 7? Dad's grilling burgers. Miss you already, Ellie. My stomach twisted. Miss me? They'd buried me in lies so deep I'd clawed my way to rock bottom, convinced it was all my fault. Identity theft. Fraudulent loans in my name. A Ponzi scheme they'd run through my social security number like it was their personal ATM. I'd lost everything. Job, apartment, sanity, before the pills and booze finished me off at 28. Now, at 22, I had a second shot. And this time, I wouldn't bleed for their greed. I swung my legs over the side of the bed, the familiar creak of the floorboards grounding me in this warped reality. The house smelled like fresh coffee and Dad's Old Spice, wafting up from downstairs. Eleanor Grace Harlan. Ellie to friends. Eleanor to the bill collectors in my other life, stared back at me from the mirror across the room. Same sharp cheekbones, same hazel eyes that could slice through bullshit like a hot knife. But those eyes held a fire now, forged in the ashes of betrayal. They'd started small, my parents. A temporary credit card in my name for emergencies when I was a freshman. Dad's sure-thing investments that tanked. Mom's shopping sprees masked as supporting the family. By the time I noticed the dings on my credit score, it was an avalanche. They gaslit me. You're overspending, honey. It's the economy, until I believed I was the screw-up. In my first life, I'd fought alone, lawyered up with pro bono scraps. But they had lawyers too, the kind who lunch with judges. I lost. They won. And I ended up a ghost in a motel, penniless and purposeless. Not this time. I grabbed my laptop from under the bed, the same clunky Dell I'd modded with custom scripts back in high school, and fired it up. My fingers flew across the keys, muscle memory kicking in like an old habit. I'd been a white-hat hacker in college, poking at firewalls for fun, interning at a cybersecurity firm that paid in ramen and resumes. In the life I'd left behind, those skills went to waste slinging lattes. Now, they'd be my weapons. First things first, reconnaissance. I logged into the family router, password still Harlan fam forever, Jesus, and sniffed the network traffic. Dad's ancient desktop was pinging suspicious IPs, offshore servers that screamed shell companies. Mom's iPad, buried in retail sites, but the VPN trails led to crypto wallets. My heart pounded. They hadn't started yet. Not fully, but the seeds were there, rotting under the surface. Downstairs, the kitchen was a shrine to normalcy. Granite counters cluttered with Williams-Sonoma gadgets, a calendar pinned with soccer practices for my non-existent siblings. Dad, Robert Harlan, ex-insurance salesman turned entrepreneur, flipped pancakes at the stove, his laugh booming as Mom. Lydia, former PDA, Queen Bee, sipped her mimosa. Morning, sleepyhead. Dad called, sliding a plate my way. Syrup pooled like blood around the edges. I forced a smile, the kind I perfected in therapy sessions that never fixed the fractures. Hey guys, big plans today. Casual. Probe without pushing. Mom's eyes flicked up from her phone, that practiced warmth masking the calculations underneath. Just the usual. Your father's got a meeting with some investors downtown. And you? Conquering the world yet? She laughed, light and tinkling, but I heard the edge, the subtle dig at my ungrateful generation. In my other life, that laugh had haunted my nightmares, echoing as repo men dragged my furniture out. I chewed slowly, tasting ash. Actually, yeah, thinking about that internship at Cyphertech. But first, I need to check my credit report. You know, adulting and all. The fork paused midway to Dad's mouth. A beat too long. Credit report? At your age? Honey, you're fine. We co-signed that student loan. Everything's golden. His voice was oil-slick, reassuring, but his eyes darted to Mom. Bingo. The lie machine was warming up. I nodded, playing the wide-eyed daughter. Totally. Just paranoid after that identity theft scam on the news. I watched them exchange glances, the kind that said she's too smart for her own good. But not smart enough, not then. This time, I'd make them choke on their own deceptions. After breakfast, I retreated to the basement office, really Dad's man cave of dusty file cabinets and a mini fridge stocked with IPAs. It was my war room now. I cracked open a cabinet, rifling through folders labeled Taxes 14 and Investments. Jackpot. Tucked behind a stack of mortgage statements, a manila envelope, edges frayed, marked EGH backup. Eleanor Grace Harlan. My initials. Inside, printouts of my credit applications, forged signatures, dates predating my emancipation. They've been planning this since I was 18, using my clean record as their launchpad. A shell LLC in Delaware, funneling loans to Dad's poker buddies. Mom's name nowhere. Of course, she was the ghost, the one who handled the charm offensive when debts came calling. Rage boiled low in my gut, a slow simmer I'd learned to control in the life that broke me. I scanned the docs with my phone, uploaded to an encrypted drive on Proton Mail. Then, the real fun, social engineering. I texted a college buddy, Jake. Hey, remember that ethics hackathon? Need your poli-sci brain for a project. Jake was a conspiracy nut, but loyal. An hour later, he pinged back. Dude, your folks' investor is Victor Klein, shady AF. Ran a pump and dump in '09, walked free. Victor Klein. The name hit like a gut punch. In my first life, he'd been the uncle who showed up at holidays with envelopes of cash, only to vanish when the feds circled. Dad's partner in crime. Or so I'd thought. By noon, I was deep in the dark web, Tor browser humming as I traced blockchain transactions. A wallet address linked to Dad's email, transfers to an offshore account in the Caymans. Not millions, not yet, but enough to bury a kid like me. Mom's digital footprint was slicker. Fake profiles on LinkedIn, posing as executive assistants to launder gift cards. They'd built an empire on my back, brick by fraudulent brick. And the secret? The one that twisted the knife? It wasn't just greed. Buried in a scanned email chain. Ellie's the perfect cover, clean record, no priors. Once she's in deep, we flip it on her. Insurance payout if it goes south. Insurance. They'd planned to let me drown, collect on my suicide as the scapegoat. That's what pushed me over in the end, not the debt, but the realization they saw me as expendable. I slammed the laptop shut, breath ragged. Upstairs, the garage door rumbled, Dad off to his meeting. Time to escalate. Controversial? Hell yes. I wasn't calling the cops. Not yet. In my other life, the system chewed me up. Cops dismissed it as family drama. Prosecutors laughed at the evidence. No, this was personal. I needed proof that stuck, that painted them as the monsters they were. First decision, infiltrate. I cloned Dad's phone via a Bluetooth exploit while he hummed in the shower that morning. SIM swap in under 5 minutes. Now, every call, every text, funneled to my burner app. That night, dinner was a minefield. Burgers charred on the edges, like Dad's temper when deals soured. Mom chattered about neighborhood gossip, the Johnsons' divorce, the new Tesla in the cul-de-sac, while I nodded, fork spearing coleslaw like it was their hearts. So, Ellie, Dad said, wiping ketchup from his chin, that credit thing. Don't stress it. Your mom's handling the family finances now, consolidated everything. Lie. The app buzzed silently in my pocket. A text from Victor. Rob, kid sniffing. Pull back. My blood ran cold. They knew. Or suspected. Mom's smile didn't waver. Pass the salt, dear. I passed it, fingers brushing hers, soft, manicured, the hands that had signed away my future. Sure thing, Mom. Under the table, I triggered the first worm, a script emailing anonymized tips to the IRS, breadcrumbs leading to their Delaware LLC. Small potatoes, but it'd itch. The real play? Tomorrow. I drive to the city, meet Jake, and hack Victor's network. Risky, crossing state lines with intent to commit cyber fraud, even white hat style. But fuck legal. They'd stolen my life once. This time, I'd steal theirs back, piece by damning piece. As I lay in bed that night, The house settling around me like a coffin, doubt crept in. Was this me, or the ghost of the broken woman I'd been? The one who'd trusted too much, fought too little? No. This Eleanor was forged in fire, reborn, relentless. They'd wake up to alarms soon enough. And when the walls closed in, I'd be the shadow pulling the strings. Revenge wasn't sweet, it was surgical, and I was just warming up the scalpel. The subway rattled under Manhattan's veins like a junkie's last fix, and I gripped the pole, eyes scanning the crowd for tales. Paranoia? Maybe. But in my first life, I'd learned the hard way. Trust no one, especially not the faces you grew up loving. Jake waited on the platform at Union Square, his lanky frame buried in a hoodie, vape cloud curling like a question mark. Ellie? You look intense. He hugged me awkward, all elbows and uncertainty. I pulled back, scanning his face. Same freckles, same earnest squint. Clean. Intense is the new normal. Coffee. We hunkered in a corner booth at a dive called the Beanstalk, walls plastered with faded Obama posters and gig flyers. Jake slurped his Americano, waiting. I slid my laptop across, screen glowing with the cloned texts. My parents are running a scam. Using my identity. I need dirt on Victor Klein. His eyes widened, then narrowed, classic poli-sci gears turning. Whoa, Harlan. That's federal. Wire fraud, at least. I leaned in, voice low. I know. But if I go official, they spin it. Troubled daughter, daddy issues. I need leverage. Unimpeachable. He whistled, scrolling the logs. Okay, hypothetically. Klein's got a server farm in Jersey, offshore proxy, but sloppy. Backdoor via his smart home. I grinned. Feral. You read my mind. Jake was my ghost in the machine back then, the one who taught me buffer overflows over late-night pizza. In this loop, he'd be my accomplice. Controversial decision number 2. Drag a friend into the abyss. But Jake owed me. I covered his tuition hack in sophomore year, kept him out of juvie. What's the play? He asked, already cracking his knuckles. By dusk, we were in a van rented under a fake LLC, irony noted, parked a block from Klein's McMansion in Short Hills. His smart, everything was a hacker's wet dream. Unsecured IoT devices pinging like fireflies. I SSH'd in via the Nest Cam, escalating privileges with a 0-day I'd shelved from my internship days. Files spilled out, spreadsheets of shell transfers, emails plotting diversification through my SSN. And there, buried in a subfolder labeled contingencies, a life insurance policy. On me. Beneficiary, Robert and Lydia Harlan. Premiums paid via my hijacked accounts. The betrayal hit fresh, a sucker punch to the soul. They'd bet on my downfall, literally. Tears pricked, but I blinked them back. No time for weakness. Ellie. Jake's voice crackled over the burner walkie. Cops on patrol. Bounce. I yanked the drive, heart hammering. We peeled out, adrenaline sour in my throat. Back at his Astoria walk-up, cluttered with dog-eared Vonnegut and empty Red Bull cans. I poured over the hall. Victor wasn't just Dad's sidekick. He was the architect. Emails from '08, pre-recession, Lydia's kids our golden ticket. Clean slate, no flags. Mom knew. From the jump. She'd played the doting parent while scripting my ruin. The secret festered deeper, scans of my birth certificate, altered to list them as sole guardians past 18. They'd isolated me young, cutting ties with my estranged aunt after Grandpa's will. Inheritance? Funneled into their ventures. I'd been a pawn since diapers. Sleep evaded me on Jake's lumpy couch, nightmares bleeding from past to present. The motel carpet itching my cheek. Mom's voice on the line, we love you, but you need to handle this. Lies. All of it. Dawn broke gray, and I texted home, staying in city for interviews. Love you. The response pinged instant. Proud of you. Dad's got big news tonight. Big news. My app lit up, transferred to Victor's wallet. $5,000. From my line of credit, opened yesterday. Bastards. Couldn't wait. I hit the road south, windows down, wind whipping my hair like a flag of war. Home was Bethesda, Maryland, sprawling suburbia, where minivans hid meth labs and smiles concealed Ponzi schemes. The house loomed as I pulled in, colonial revival with shutters peeling like scabs. Mom was in the garden, pruning roses with surgical precision, her sundress spotless. Ellie, early bird. She air-kissed my cheek, floral perfume cloying. Dad emerged from the garage, grease-streaked. That salesman grin dialed to 11. Kiddo. Perfect timing. Come see the new ride. A gleaming Ford F-150 bought on my auto loan. The VIN traced clean in 30 seconds on my phone. Dinner was theater, steak rare, wine flowing like confessions they never made. So, Dad boomed, carving his ribeye. Victor and I are launching Harlan Klein Ventures. Real estate flips, boom times ahead. Mom nodded, eyes gleaming. You'll be our secret weapon, Ellie. That tech brain of yours? Goal. I sipped my cab, tasting vinegar. Secret weapon. Right. Sounds amazing. What's the capital from? Beat. Dad's knife scraped porcelain. Family savings. A little leverage. Lie. The worm I'd planted hit paydirt overnight. IRS flags on 3 returns, audit letters en route. But I needed more. Emotional gut punch leverage. Post-meal, I cornered Mom in the den, photo albums spread like bait. Remember when you co-signed my first card? Said it'd build character. Her laugh tinkled, forced. Of course, honey. You were so responsible. I flipped to a page. Me at 16, prom dress funded by Grandpa's check. What about his money? Where'd it go? Her fingers tightened on the album edge. Invested. For your future. Bullshit. The well-specified college fund, drained by 13. Show me. The room chilled. Ellie, don't be dramatic. Dramatic? I'd die dramatic, alone with their ghosts. Upstairs, I escalated. Planted a keylogger on the family PC, harmless, reversible, but it'd capture every keystroke. Then, the controversial pivot, anonymous post on a finance subreddit. Family using my SSN for fraud. Tips? Vague enough to fish, bold enough to stir. Replies flooded by midnight. Lawyers, whistleblower hotlines, revenge porn warnings. One stood out. Check Equifax breach dumps. Your folks might be in M. I dove in, cross-referencing. Jackpot. Mom's alias, Lydia Loves LV, tied to dark web carding forums. She'd been skimming since AOL dial-up days. The next week blurred into a frenzy. Jake fed me Klein's emails, plans to expand, using my name for a youth venture front. Dad's calls grew frantic. Audit? Must be a glitch. Mom's texts to a burner, daughters asking questions. Accelerate. Accelerate what? The policy? My pulse thrummed. I drove to D.C., law library stacks my fortress. Buried statutes, fiduciary breach, elder fraud overlays. But the real weapon? Publicity. Decision 3. Leak. Not all. Not yet. A teaser to Victor's board, sanitized docs, hinting at exposure. His stock dipped 2% by close. Petty? Therapeutic. Homefront cracked. Dad snapped over breakfast. Mind your own, Ellie. First crack in the facade. Mom cried in the bathroom, mascara rivers. But her search history screamed alibis for fraud. I comforted her, arm around shoulders that once rocked me, whispering it's okay, Mom. We'll fix it. Lies, sweet as pie. Inside, the script compiled. A dead man's switch, auto-releasing everything to the post if I tripped. Paranoia or prudence. In my other life, prudence got me buried. Climax brewed that Friday. Victor in town for dinner. The table set like a Last Supper. Crystal, candles, tension thick as fog. He arrived slick-suited, bear-hugging Dad. Ellie, the prodigy. His handshake lingered, probing. I smiled, teeth bared. Heard about the ventures. Thrilled. Wine poured, toast clinked. Underneath, my phone vibrated. Keylogger gold. Mom emailing Victor. Girls onto us. Insurance angle viable? Viable. My death, their payout. The room spun, red at edges. I excused myself, feigning nausea. Bathroom mirror. Pale, determined. Time to detonate. Back at table, voice steady. Victor, love the pitch. But let's talk contingencies. His fork froze. Pardon. I slid printouts across. Policy details, blurred but damning. Life insurance on the mark. Classy. Silence shattered like glass. Dad's face purpled. What the hell, Eleanor? Mom gasped, theatrical. Victor laughed, oily. Kids bluffing. Sue for defamation. Bluff? No. The worm payload dropped. Live feed of their Cayman account to my screen, balance ticking down as I initiated a blockchain freeze, courtesy of a crypto bro from Jake's network. Controversial? Cyber vandalism, traceable if they pushed. But it bought time. Call off the dogs, I said, voice steel. Or it all goes public. Front page, suburban scammers bet on daughter's demise. Victor's eyes narrowed, calculating. Dad lunged. You ungrateful bitch. But Mom pulled him back. Tears real now? Ellie, please. Family. Family. The word curdled. I stood, chair scraping. Family doesn't forge your future into a noose. Door slammed behind me. Night air cool on fevered skin. In the car, sobs racked. Grief for the parents I'd lost twice. But triumph flickered. The machine was in motion. Audit letters hit Monday. Victor bailed Tuesday. Revenge tasted like bile and victory. Yet doubt lingered. Was this justice, or just my scars screaming? Jake texted, "You're a badass. But watch your back." I would. The twist was coming. I felt it in my bones. They wouldn't go quiet. The fallout hit like a nor'easter, sudden, savage, stripping the facade clean. Monday morning, the mailbox bulged. IRS notices in crisp envelopes, stamped urgent. Examination scheduled. I watched from the kitchen window as Dad tore one open, face draining to ash. Mom hovered, hand on his shoulder, but her eyes, those calculating blues, scanned the street for neighbors. Paranoia infected them now, mirrors of my own in the life before. Good. Let it fester. I sipped coffee, black as my resolve, plotting the endgame. Work called, Cypher Tech internship, a 6-week gig in Arlington analyzing breach patterns. Ironic sanctuary. Commuting on the Beltway, radio droning Trump campaign ads, Make America Great. I mulled the leaks. Subreddit post had ballooned. 500 upvotes, tips pouring in. One user, u/finwhistle, DM'd coordinates, a P.O. box in Silver Spring linked to Mom's alias. I detoured, gloved hands rifling a locker, burner phones, fake IDs, a ledger in her looping script. Entries from '05, EGH fund, $2,000 siphoned. Grandpa's money, my college. The betrayal ossified, not mistake, malice. They'd groomed me as Mark from Girlhood. Back home, tension crackled like static. Dad avoided eye contact, holing in the garage with a bottle. Mom cornered me post-dinner, wine slurred. Ellie, this phase. It's hurting us. Phase. I laughed, bitter. Hurting? You insured my suicide, Mom. Her face crumpled. Genuine? We never. God, no? It was Victor's idea. Protection. Protection. The lie twisted fresh. Keylogger confirmed. Her emails greenlit it. Proceeds split 60/40ths. I stepped closer, voice whisper. Protecting your Cayman nest egg. I saw the transfers. She recoiled, hand to throat. How? Smugness surged. I'm not the little girl you forged anymore. Tuesday, Victor ghosted, calls diverted, emails bounced. Jake's hack revealed the freeze cost him. SEC probe triggered by my anonymous tip. Dad's meeting that night? A solo bar crawl, text slurring fix this, Lydia. Mom's response, handle your mess. Cracked spiderwebbing. I escalated. Mirrored their drives to a Tor-hidden server, every file a landmine. Controversial call for deepfake. Using open-source tools, I stitched a video, Dad confessing to a journalist, voice cloned from voicemails. Not released, not yet. Insurance against the inevitable pushback. By Wednesday, the house was a pressure cooker. Cops knocked. Routine fraud report from the bank, my preemptive call. Dad blustered, Mom fluttered. Our daughter's unstable. She murmured to the detective, arm linked in mine like we were allies. I smiled serene. Ask about the policy. The cop's brow furrowed. Policy. Dad paled. They left with statements, but the seed planted. That night, family meeting, forced, fraught. Living room shadows long. TV muted on CNN's market crash. Eleanor. Dad growled. Ice clinking in his tumbler. You've gone too far. Slandering us. To cops. I sat straight, laptop balanced on knees. Slander requires lies, Dad. Pull up your email. He did, hesitant. The screen bloomed. Forwarded chains, policy docs, siphon logs. Mom gasped, photoshopped, but metadata screamed authenticity. Victor's name loomed, the schemer unmasked. He pushed us, Dad muttered, crumbling. Said it was standard. Your credit was accessible. Accessible. Like a public faucet. Rage crested. You made me the fall guy? Let me drown so you could swim. Mom sobbed, reaching. We love you, Ellie. It spiraled. Love. The word weaponized. Hollow as their promises. Climax detonated Thursday. I got the call at Cypher Tech. HR voice tight. Ms. Harlan, we need to discuss your background. Background check. Red flags on my there fraud. In my first life, this killed dreams. Now, bait. I drove home furious, storming in to find them packing. Suitcases by the door, for sale signs staked crooked in the yard. Running. I spat. Dad whirled, eyes wild. You ruined us. Job gone, accounts frozen. Thanks to you. Mom clutched a rosary, lapsed Catholic theater. Please, stop this. We're your blood. Blood. The lie cracked wide. I slammed the laptop open, dead man switch primed. One click. Post, FBI, wires crossed. Victor's deep fake cued, his confession sinking. They froze, calculus shifting. Dad lunged for the machine. No, but I sidestepped, chair toppling. Mom wailed, collapsing. Chaos. Shouts, shoves, Dad's fist grazing my arm. Bruise blooming like truth. I hit enter. Not full release, a teaser to the Post tip line. Suburban parents scheme daughter's ruin. Insurance on air? Sirens wailed distant by dawn. Feds swarmed. White collars flashing badges, hauling boxes. Dad cuffed on the lawn, neighbors gawking over fences. Mom hysterical in the cruiser, mascara black rivers. Victor? Nabbed at JFK, Cayman ticket stubbed. Me? Untouched, whistleblower shield, Jake's affidavit stacking. But the twist gutted. In the melee, a letter fluttered from Mom's purse. To me, dated last week in my old life. Ellie, if you're reading this, forgive us. It was for you. Saving the family from your father's debts. He was sick, gambling. We protected you. Sick. Dad's emails confirmed. Poker dens, loan sharks. Mom's contingency. Framing me to shield him. Or us. Interrogation room. Sterile, fluorescent hum. Feds grilled gentle. Why now? I spun the yarn. Epiphany postgrad. Digging for peace. Truth underneath. Rebirth's fire. They bought it. Charges stuck. Fraud, conspiracy, identity theft. Dad folded first. Plea deal naming Victor. Mom fought. Trial looming. I did it for love. She wept in court. Eyes locking mine. Jury didn't buy. Guilty. Sentences. Dad 8 years. Mom 5. Probation laced with restitution. My credit? Expunged. Rebuilt brick by honest brick. Months blurred. Therapy unpacked ghosts. Jake's couch became my launch pad. Cyphertech hired full-time. Irony's gift. Suburbia shrank rear view. Brooklyn loft my fortress. But victory soured bittersweet. Letters from prison. Dad's scrawled apologies. Mom's poetry. Blood binds. Even broken. Forgiveness? Nah. But understanding crept, a scar softening. They'd wrecked me once, built lies like walls. I tore them down, skills sharpened to scalpels. One night, rain lashing windows, I poured whiskey, not to drown, but toast. The reborn don't forget. We forge ahead, thorns in our crowns. Eleanor Grace Harlan, survivor, avenger, whole. The end. Not tragic, not purely happy. Real, like America, messy and unyielding. And damn if it didn't feel alive.